But slowly, momentum grew, businesses began to realize the power of being online. Zip2's platform expanded, investors began to notice. Within just a few years, Zip2 went from a tiny startup to a company worth hundreds of millions. In 1999, Compaq acquired Zip2 for $307 million, Elon's personal share, around $22 million. At just 27 years old, Elon Musk had become a multi-millionaire. But here's where Elon's story diverges from the typical Silicon Valley tale. Many entrepreneurs, after hitting their first jackpot, slow down. They buy mansions, cars, and disappear into comfort. Elon didn't, because for him, money was never the goal. It was fuel, a tool, a way to build the future faster. He would later invest most of that fortune, nearly all of it, into his next ventures that people told him were insane. The story of Zip2 isn't just about a startup. It's about a philosophy: strike early, work relentlessly, and use success as fuel for something bigger. Most people wait for the world to change before they adapt. Elon Musk decided to create the change himself. And with $22 million in his pocket, he was just getting started. Imagine being 27 years old with $22 million in your bank account. Most people would buy mansions, supercars, and disappear into luxury. But not Elon Musk. Instead, he put nearly every dollar on the line again to chase a vision most people thought was impossible, and that gamble gave birth to the company that changed how the entire world moves money: PayPal. In 1999, Elon Musk was living every entrepreneur's dream. He had just sold Zip2 for over $300 million, walking away with $22 million in his pocket. For a boy who had once been bullied, beaten, and laughed at, it was vindication. He had made it. But if you think Elon celebrated with champagne and Ferraris, you'd be mistaken. Sure, he did buy a McLaren F1, but beyond that, his focus wasn't on spending, it was on building. Most people saw money as an endpoint. Elon saw it as jet fuel. He wasn't asking, how can I enjoy this fortune? He was asking, what's the next frontier I can conquer? After Zip2, Elon took a step back and asked himself a question that would define his career. What are the most important problems that will affect the future of humanity? While most new millionaires were plotting vacations, Elon was making a list. The internet was still young, and one glaring problem stood out to him: money. At the time, moving money online was clumsy, slow, and insecure. People still relied on checks, wire transfers, or faxing forms to banks. Credit cards were only beginning to be used online, and most people didn't trust the process. But Elon saw the future. He believed that money itself should move as easily as email, and so he decided to build it. In 1999, Elon founded a new startup called X.com. The name was mysterious, almost provocative, and its mission was bold: to create one of the first online banks in the world. The idea was met with skepticism, even laughter. Online banking? Who would trust a website with their life savings? But Elon believed in it so strongly that he poured $12 million of his own money into the company to attract customers. X.com offered a radical promotion. Anyone who signed up received $20 in their account free. The result: over 200,000 people signed up in just 2 months. Around that same time, another small company was experimenting with online payments. It was called Confinity, founded by Peter Thiel and Max Levchin. Their service allowed people to send money through email. When X.com and Confinity realized they were chasing the same vision, they decided to merge, and that merger created the company we know today. PayPal. The early PayPal days were chaos. Fraudsters were constantly trying to exploit this system. Competitors were circling. The company was burning cash at an alarming rate. Inside the company, tensions boiled. Elon Musk was the largest shareholder and CEO for a time, but his aggressive vision sometimes clashed with the other founders. He wanted to expand PayPal into a one-stop financial super app, while others preferred to focus purely on payments. At one point, while Elon was away on a trip, the board of directors voted to replace him as CEO. It was a brutal blow. But here's the key: Elon didn't walk away bitter. He didn't sulk or sell his shares out of anger. He stayed invested because he believed in the mission. And that decision would change everything. In 2002, PayPal was acquired by eBay for a staggering $1.5 billion. Elon Musk, as the largest shareholder, walked away with $180 million. Let that sink in. In less than a decade, Elon had gone from sleeping on office floors to selling to companies worth a combined $1.8 billion. Most people at this point would retire forever. They'd buy an island, disappear into paradise, and never work again. But Elon Musk was not most people. The story of PayPal reveals something essential about Elon's character. He never chases safety. He chases significance. When everyone told him online banking was insane, he pushed forward anyway. When the company turned against him, he didn't quit. And when he cashed out, he didn't stop to celebrate. He asked a bigger question: what's next? And his answer would lead him down the most dangerous road yet. After PayPal, Elon found himself at another crossroads. He had more wealth than he had ever dreamed of. But wealth alone didn't interest him. He thought back to his childhood, to the days when he had devoured science fiction books and dreamed of humanity as a multiplanetary species, and he realized if the future of humanity depended on solving problems, there were three frontiers that mattered most: space exploration, sustainable energy, the internet, and Elon was prepared to risk everything once again to take them on. The story of X.com and PayPal isn't just about creating a successful company. It's about betting on a future no one else can see. Most people wait for certainty. Elon Musk acted on conviction. He knew online money was inevitable, even if the world didn't believe it yet. And by being early, bold, and relentless, he not only built a company, he set himself up with the resources to take on missions far larger than banking. Most people dream of making millions. Elon Musk made hundreds of millions. But what he did next shocked everyone. Instead of buying mansions, yachts, or retiring young, Elon decided to gamble it all again. Not on something safe, not on something easy, but on two of the riskiest industries in the world: space travel and electric cars. And that decision nearly destroyed him. In 2002, Elon Musk had just pocketed $180 million from the sale of PayPal. He was 31 years old, rich beyond imagination, and could have retired to a life of luxury. But retirement was never part of his DNA. Instead, he asked himself a question that most billionaires avoid: what are the most important problems that will affect the future of humanity? The answer he wrote down was bold, almost absurd: space exploration, making humanity multiplanetary, sustainable energy, breaking free from fossil fuels, the internet. He could have picked one. He could have invested safely. But Elon wasn't chasing profit, he was chasing purpose. And so he decided to risk his entire fortune to tackle the first two: space and energy. Elon's obsession with space wasn't new. As a child, he devoured science fiction books and dreamed of rockets. But now, with millions in his account, he could actually try. His idea was insane at the time: colonize Mars. The Russians mocked him, quoting absurd prices and dismissing him as a naive dreamer. On the flight home, Elon pulled out a spreadsheet and showed his team, "We can build rockets ourselves for a fraction of the cost." And with that, SpaceX was born. In 2002, Elon poured $100 million of his own money into SpaceX. Think about that. He invested more than half his fortune into an industry where even governments often failed. He hired a small team of brilliant engineers. The mission: build reusable rockets. Why reusable? Because traditional rockets cost hundreds of millions of dollars per launch and were thrown away after a single use. It was like flying a jumbo jet and then throwing the plane in the trash after one flight. Elon knew this model was broken. If rockets could be reused, space travel could finally become affordable. But turning that idea into reality was brutal. The early SpaceX team worked insane hours, slept in the factory, and lived on instant noodles. Elon pushed them relentlessly, demanding perfection. Failure wasn't an option. And yet failure came anyway. The first rocket, Falcon 1, launched in 2006. It rose into the sky and then exploded. Millions of dollars gone in seconds. The second launch, in 2007, another failure. The third, in 2008, yet again, disaster. 3 rockets, 3 failures. And each one drained Elon's fortune further. By now, SpaceX was on the brink of collapse. Investors were nervous. Critics laughed. Newspapers called SpaceX a billionaire's vanity project. Elon Musk looked like a man burning money to chase an impossible dream. At the very same time, Elon was also sinking money into another crazy idea: electric cars. Back in 2004, he had invested in a small startup called Tesla Motors. The idea was to build sleek, high-performance electric cars that could rival gasoline vehicles, but the timing couldn't have been worse. The auto industry was dominated by giants. Oil was cheap. Electric cars were seen as slow, ugly, and impractical. Even General Motors had given up on its electric car project years earlier. But Elon saw what others didn't. The future had to be sustainable. If we didn't break free from fossil fuels, we would eventually destroy our planet. He poured tens of millions into Tesla, guiding it through prototype stages. But the company faced delays, rising costs, and constant skepticism. By 2008, Tesla too was on the edge of bankruptcy. 2008 was the year everything nearly collapsed. The financial crisis had hit. Banks were failing, investors were panicking, and Elon Musk, he was running out of money. SpaceX had failed 3 times. Tesla was drowning in debt. Elon had just enough money left to save one company. Imagine standing at that crossroads. One path might save SpaceX. The other might save Tesla if he picked wrong. Years of work would vanish and his entire fortune would be gone. Most people would play it safe. Elon did the opposite. He chose to risk it all on both. He sold his possessions, borrowed money for rent, and pushed every last dollar into keeping Tesla and SpaceX alive. At one point, he admitted, "I thought I was going to die. Friends of mine had to give me rent money. It was the worst year of my life." Then in September 2008 came a miracle. SpaceX's fourth Falcon 1 launch, the company's last chance, finally succeeded. For the first time in history, a private company launched a rocket into orbit. It was a turning point. Just weeks later, NASA awarded SpaceX a $1.6 billion contract to deliver cargo to the International Space Station. Suddenly, the company that had been mocked was now a legitimate player in the space industry. On Christmas Eve that same year, Tesla received emergency funding that kept it alive. Elon Musk had survived the impossible. The story of 2008 reveals why Elon Musk is different. Most entrepreneurs dream of financial freedom. Elon risked financial ruin not once, but twice because his mission mattered more than his comfort. He wasn't afraid to fail publicly, spectacularly, and painfully. Because in his mind, failure was temporary, only giving up would be permanent. By the end of 2008, Elon Musk was battered, nearly bankrupt, and exhausted, but he had done the impossible. He had kept both Tesla and SpaceX alive, and those decisions would later transform not only his own life but entire industries. Elon Musk had survived his darkest year. But survival wasn't enough. Tesla still needed to prove electric cars could be cool, fast, and desirable. SpaceX still needed to make rockets reliable. And the world was still laughing at him. But what happened next would silence the critics forever. Imagine being a man who, after surviving bankruptcy and proving the world wrong, doesn't stop. Imagine someone who looks at the impossible and says, "I'll figure it out." Elon Musk didn't just want to change cars or rockets. He wanted to change humanity itself, and he built an empire to do it. By 2009, Elon Musk had done the impossible. SpaceX had secured a NASA contract, and Tesla had just enough money to survive. But survival wasn't victory. Elon knew the critics were still watching, waiting for him to fail again. Journalists mocked Tesla as a rich man's toy. SpaceX was called a money pit. Wall Street investors bet against him, but Elon had something they didn't, an unstoppable obsession to prove them wrong. Tesla's very first car, the Roadster, was flashy, but it wasn't the revolution Elon wanted. It was expensive and built in limited numbers. To truly change the world, Tesla needed a mass-market electric car that people actually wanted to drive. Enter the Model S. The Model S wasn't just another car, it was a statement. Sleek, fast, and loaded with cutting-edge technology, it shattered the stereotype of electric cars being slow golf carts. Elon promised it would go over 250 miles on a single charge, something experts said was impossible. Building it nearly broke Tesla again. The company faced delays, cost overruns, and endless skepticism. Car magazines ridiculed the idea. Established automakers predicted Tesla would vanish in months, but in 2012, the Model S finally launched. And it stunned the world. Reviewers called it the best car they had ever driven. Motor Trend named it Car of the Year. Consumer Reports rated it 99 out of 100. Suddenly, Tesla wasn't a joke, it was a threat. But success brought new enemies. Oil companies hated Tesla, established automakers despised Tesla, and Wall Street short sellers saw Tesla as the perfect target. They bet billions that Tesla would collapse. Every delay, every problem, every fire in a Tesla car was amplified by the media. Elon fought back, sometimes with anger, sometimes with humor, but always with determination. He famously said, "They're betting against the company that's trying to do good for the world. Shame on them." And despite constant attacks, Tesla grew. This is the story of a man who turned imagination into reality. If you were inspired by the journey of Elon Musk, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more stories of visionaries who changed the world.